County Board of Supervisors meeting. The date is May 7th, 2024. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There is one agenda deletion I need to bring our attention to. It was brought to my attention that item number 5, the public hearing for road vacation on the portion of Fillmore Street, does not need to be on the agenda. So I'm going to ask that we remove that. Are there any other deletions that board members would like to bring up?
None.
Okay. Seeing none, let's move on to our consent agenda. Oh, excuse me, roll call first, please.
McIntyre?
Here.
Peter?
Here.
Snell?
Here. Okay. Are there any items on the consent agenda that need to be discussed, or can we go forward and get a motion to agree on that?
Are you looking for a motion?
Yes, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Okay, now we're at item number 2, which is the claims. I'm sure, as everybody noticed, it's an exceptionally large amount of claims today, and I believe we need just a little further explanation on what
Yep.
brings us to that point.
Yep, so around this time every year, we're going to have a large claims like this. It's when our bond payments become due, and those would be on the secondary road shop, the Justice Center, and the 911 project. So it's just making those bond payments.
And what's the total on those combined?
I think it was about 2.8 million.
Well, that's a total. I think it was closer to 2 million is what it looked
About
like to me.
about 2 million, okay.
As far as the bonds. But you said that there were 4 bonds?
There's a total, it's 5, but it's for a total of 3 projects.
Okay. Are there any other questions about the claims?
None from me.
Can we have a motion to approve the claims as presented for $2.873 million?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, which is always nice to have, and it's a city update from Norwalk by City Manager Luke Nelson.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I handed you it's a document that we use when we've been doing tours of Norwalk Central, which is part of the Greg Young Auto Campus. So I'll go over those in a little bit more detail later, but that's what I handed to you. Well, first, I just wanted to tell you that I've really enjoyed these updates. There's a lot of fun. You folks bring up a lot of good questions, but it's also just a good chance to get down here and let you know what's going on in Norwalk. Always fun discussion. So also want to thank you for your service. I know that these are tough jobs. All the time I talk with our city council. We're going through a street assessment project right now, which I think if our council doesn't have gray hair already, they will by the time that's done. But anyway, you know, all things that are very important for the county, for our community, so appreciate your service. So first of all, just talk about our budget. We finished up our budget planning. This year it turned out to be a pretty decent year for us, but in large part that's because we had a TIF retirement. We had a 20-year-old TIF rebate agreement with the Echo Valley golf course. 20-year, that's a long time for TIF, especially when there's some residential involved. But I will continue to say I think that was a wise choice by the city 20 years ago because I think it's part of what spurred a lot of development in Norwalk and built a lot of momentum. When you retire TIF, that means those dollars that were normally going back to the developer in terms of a rebate, those dollars then turn over, go back to schools, go back to cities, ultimately come back to the county. So in a TIF retirement year, that's like a new influx of dollars that we were not used to receiving in years past. It was perfect timing because of House File 718. I know that causes a little consternation for local governments whenever you hear that. The impact on city budget, break it down as basic as I can for anybody not wanting to go in the details. If we assume that our community grows in the 6 to 8% over the next 4 to 5 years, it's about a $200,000 impact on our budget. Now, in the full county budget, that certainly seems like a smaller number, but for us, that's roughly the amount of dollars it takes just to cover the salary increases for our police department. So it's a significant number for us. That's 2 firefighters, that's 2 police officers. The big impact is that it's compounding. So each year, that means you're receiving less $200 or $200,000, which means over the 5-year cycle that this law is in effect, that's an overall impact of about $2 million on our city finances. So certainly that's a pretty significant impact. So what are we doing to cope with that up front? Well, we have all kinds of ideas that are coming forward, but most of them involve some kind of a reduction in service level. And I always try to say this, for anybody running for office, for anybody that is even thinking about it, or for any citizens that are watching somebody run for office, I always tell them if you hear anybody talk about tax decreases, likely they need to follow that up with telling you how they're decreasing a service level at the same time. Or there's going to be massive amounts of growth. And generally those things, generally they don't happen, but if somebody's talking about a decrease, the next question should be what service levels are being cut. For us, we're doing a combination. We're going likely do some fee increases. That's everything from what the soccer club pays to getting a permit for a shed. We are reducing some services. One of them at the top of the list is animal control. This is something that we're taking a step back from animal control, which in large part has to do with usually capturing a rogue dog every once in a while. Vicious animal, that still stays in effect, but just general animal control is something that would be reduced. We have already reduced our fire and EMS service areas. We used to service Lee County and Madison County. That's something that our fire department said, hey, we need to shore up our boundaries. We don't have enough dollars to continue to serve those areas. So we cut that one. Also Spring Hill in Warren County, that was turned over to the North Warren District. Cumming was next on the list for us to see services with them for fire and EMS, but ultimately they came back and they said, we will pay what Norwalk citizens pay for that service. So the amount of dollars that they provided the city of Norwalk to provide fire and EMS went up significantly. I think they were at a levy equivalent to 65 to 70 cents, and that goes up to about $2.30. So shrinking that service area, if we don't have enough growth to accommodate being able to expand the fire department, then we have to shrink that service area. Fortunately, growth will help us adapt. I will say that as much as I get frustrated about House File 718, it's a lot better than the first couple proposals that came out. Some of the first proposals that came out actually included not allowing cities to use all of their new growth, or counties for that matter. At least with this new bill, they call it more of a haircut. So if you were going to have 20% growth, that rolled it back by, I'm roughly speaking, rolled it back by 3%. So you only have 17% for your new growth. That's a big number, and I throw those out there because that's what our growth looked like this last year. In upcoming years, we're probably close to a 6 or 8% growth, where 3% is a much more significant impact. The point there is the stronger the growth is, the less you see of an impact from that 3% overall reduction. Any questions on that? Okay, well, speaking of growth, sanitary service area. So we came to you some time ago, talked to you about the amount of infrastructure that we needed to expand our next certified site in the southern area, kind of southwestern area of Norwalk. We came to you and you provided us with a grant of about $1.4 million. In fact, I just got some more details from Dawn this morning before the meeting got started. We just got some critical easements signed from adjacent property owners. We're ready to start doing final design and going out for bid on a $7 million sanitary sewer project. That $7 million covers enough for about 1.5 miles of sanitary sewer. It's scary, but if you think about it, this isn't a 24-inch pipe. This is a pipe that we could stand in. I think even Darren could stand in there without hitting his head. So this is going to serve a large service area. Which leads me into the next topic. Our last comprehensive plan showed a significant amount of focus moving south and west of Norwalk out towards the interstate. We have a project coming up. It's being termed Project West, and it's causing us to more rapidly start to talk to landowners to the south and west of Norwalk, predominantly because that's the service area for this new sanitary sewer pipe. And if a city is going to invest $7 million into that pipe, we need to have some assurance of what that service area looks like. So one of the words that some people get a little scared about is the term annexation. But that's what we're starting to do, is starting to talk to people, letting them know that as we proceed and provide services to that area, there's the opportunity for annexation. Residential growth, that rate is down from pandemic levels, but as we start to look at the graphs over time, we start to see that that's a spike. During the pandemic, it was crazy the amount of new residential housing starts that we saw in the community. However, if you take out that spike, our residential growth is still trending higher than it was previously. So our 5-year trend, we're still on an upward. And this is in spite of high interest rates, which that's the one thing that's been a little strange, that even with those interest rates doubling, even more so, we're still seeing that strong growth. Our commercial growth really continues to be the shining star. I'm going to go through these quick, and these are just a few. We have 2 hotels with a third that just gave a recent presentation to City Council. We have 2 retail plazas that will be opening this summer, and we're already hearing about some pretty neat tenants. I know there's one particular that I'm a huge fan of, but Holly keeps telling me you can't announce these yet, so I'm trying to follow instruction. Starbucks opened. I can't believe the drive up at Starbucks can be as long as it is. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's 10 cars waiting. Quick Star's under construction. They're moving quick. They're just south from the new Fairway store. There are 2 light industrial warehousing contractor buildings that are opening up towards the south end of Norwalk, which is just across the road from our previous certified site. The county helped us with Delaware. That's the street that runs on the south side of our first certified site. Without that street in place, without the funding help from the county, these additional projects now south of Delaware wouldn't be taking place. So that's a huge kudos to you folks. Norwalk Central, so that's the big one that takes quite a bit of time right now. That's what's contained on that map in front of you. This is part of the overall Greg Young Sports Campus. There are sponsorships that are going with the athletic complex. Some of the things that I'll announce here are within Norwalk Central. We're calling that kind of our new downtown area. But the sports campus is a little bit further south and is kind of the anchor to making all these things happen. So first off, the Fairfield by Marriott, that one's under construction. The Fairway Fields, that is complete and they are operational. The City State Bank Field House, which is the city facility, we are set to open mid to the end of May. Mullet's, they've announced, that's a new restaurant that'll be opening up. Vivid Spa, TPH Academy, Pin High Golf Simulator, and our library just purchased 6 acres for a future library site. We anticipate that's probably not going to be for another 5 to 6 years. But as you know, if you're going to plan a city facility or any type of government facility, it's not something that you just move on immediately. We're trying to plan ahead and make that all fit together. So the things that I'll finalize or finish up on is our certified site process. So I talked a little bit earlier about that grant, the ARPA grant that you folks gave to us. A key part of that was making sure that we do a certified site, because when we were having discussions at that time, it was just bare land, nothing planned other than we knew we were going to run infrastructure to that location. Well, with the Project West, that actually caused us to put brakes on the certified site process, because if you have somebody now looking to buy land and do a project there, it means that any dollars we would spend on the full certified site process would be wasteful, especially when these folks that are looking at property are saying, hey, we're going to do all that stuff anyway. So I just want to explain to the supervisors that even though that was our goal to have a certified site, I think we can all agree that the goal has been met ultimately if we have a purchase and a planned project prior to that certified site being completed. If that's not the case, we would love to know that from you three. So that's it. Went through that after a couple cups of coffee quite quick. Do you have any questions for me?
With the project that you're mentioning down there, what did you call it, Project West?
Project West.
Okay, with that in mind, you open to talk about what it actually involves? Or is that beyond the scope of public discussion at this point?
Tell you what I will do is I'll try to get Holly to come down here and tell you what she's the one that signed the non-disclosure statement, so I feel comfortable with her giving you as much information as she can. In fact, it'd probably be good for her to come down anyway sometime.
Okay. But basically, my understanding from what you've just shared then is that instead of the certified site, we're actually meeting the goals of what was intended with the ARPA dollars that were put aside for that project. But in fact, those dollars are already in the pipeline, literally, to put in the new sewer, correct?
Correct.
While technically, the certified site isn't going to be necessary at this point to realize that we have accomplished all the goals that were stated in the original application.
Right.
Yes, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that is a key point that, because Mark, I spoke to you about that before.
Correct.
Dawn and I had a brief discussion. I know we've sent some communication also back and forth with Dawn, just trying to make sure that if that's not the case, the sooner you can let us know, the better. But feeling that that was the intent to ultimately certified site, the land is sold for some type of a project. Well, if you skip one step, you're still meeting the same intent.
Yeah.
So you folks think about that. If there's something where you have some second thoughts, you want us to complete that certified site, it would just be us working with those potential new property owners.
Okay. Would the dollars be developed or used otherwise for an additional area beyond what's in this Project West or the area that was intended for the certified site?
Yes. So we're starting at the bottom of the hill. And in terms of sanitary sewer, that's where you want to start.
Right.
So we're sizing this pipe to the extent that it can serve thousands and thousands of acres going to the west. We've even had discussions with West Des Moines as they have a project west of Interstate 35. Just west of Interstate 35 is where the data center went in. That data center flows directly east. All the land just to the west, if you ever drive up Interstate 35 and you look at that data center, right after that, you see it starts to fall off.
Right.
So that means all of that drains to the west and south, which means it is ultimately served by the sewer pipe I was just talking about. So it could even serve an area that large. That's what this is being designed for anyway. And as soon as there's two communities involved, ultimately it becomes a WRA pipe, but at this point, it's just Norwalk.
Any additional questions?
So, I'm trying to track with you, and maybe I can call you on the phone and talk a little bit more about this, but the intentions of, I think the board at the time was that it should be a certified site because that would promote bringing businesses in, so are we still bringing businesses in if it's not certified, or how does that work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
In fact, the amount of land that's being contemplated with Project West is actually more land than we had even included in the certified site.
Wow. Very good. Even better.
Even better.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you for the report.
Thank you very much. Great job.
We'll move on to item 4, which is public hearing for road vacation on a portion of Indiana Street.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good
Doing
morning.
well. We was approached by Leland McCormick, who owns all the property around Indiana Street, and he did sign a petition to vacate. So after that was done, Tim and I, we went out there and looked over the road, and it's only approximately 350 feet in length, and it runs west off of 250th Avenue. It's a dead-end road. And I remember back in the day, there used to be an old farm home there and stuff, and that has been removed. So in 1962, they vacated Indiana Street from the end of that road to Beach. And the reasoning for why they vacated that section, I don't know. But after Tim and I looked it over, we did not see any reason to why, we would not want to vacate it. I imagine Leland would like to close it. I imagine he's probably getting people that go back in there and dump trash and things. It's kind of hidden back in there. So what I'd like to do is, this is the first public hearing for this vacation. I would like to at least read the legal description here for it. And whereas this being the date and time set for the hearing on the proposed vacation and closure of a portion of Warren County Secondary Road described as follows. That portion of Indiana Street lying in Section 24, Township 76, Range 22 of Warren County, Iowa. The intention of this road closure is to vacate the entire segment of public road, original and with modifications, commencing at a point on the west right-of-way line of 250th Avenue, thence west to the end of the road, approximately 343 feet. The current right-of-way of 250th Avenue being 33 feet north of Indiana Street and 40 feet south of Indiana Street. Said road lying in the northeast quarter of Section 24, Township 76, Range 22, of the 5th PM, Warren County, Iowa. And you guys can either set another public hearing. I believe it could be a total of 3 if you would like, or if there's no objections that we hear today, you can go ahead and waive the second and third hearings and proceed right to vacate the road. So any questions about this?
No. I think we'll proceed to public hearing then,
Okay.
okay? Unless there's any other descriptions that need to be given to us.
So you want to go on to have a second public hearing then?
No, no.
Or you just
no.
want to go on?
We have to formally go into the public hearing no matter what.
Okay.
And then we have to do then the follow-up, which is to decide whether or not we're going to do a second and third.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds great, yes.
So unless there's other comment initially here, I'm going to move that we go forward with the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay? Got a motion and a second. We're open for public hearing. Please take roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak on the proposal? Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to ask that we close the public hearing. I'll make that as a motion.
Second?
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Now we're to the point of deciding whether or not to have a second and third reading and to also approve this vacation as described to us. Is there a motion to do such?
I'll make a motion to vacate Indiana as described in the legal description and to waive the second and third readings.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Motion is carried.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
So you're going to be up here for the next one too, I bet.
Oh, yeah. The next one is a little more difficult. It is 230th Avenue, and this road, you wouldn't even know it's a road, basically, and it runs south of Highway 92, which is just southeast of Sandyville. We were approached by the landowners, get their names here. Yeah, Craig and Patricia Hill, about vacating this road, which runs south through their property. But to do so, there is a home down at the end of this road. So to do so, they had to give us about 0.26 acres of right-of-way. And also, they had to do a private egress lane for Verl McGraw, who owns land to the south of this. So we hired a surveyor to get all this done. I can read the vacate description. The egress description is quite long, and also the right-of-way is quite long too, but I can read all three of them if you'd like, or unless you would just like me to read the actual road vacation description, because it's fairly short. Whereas this being the date and time set for the hearing on the proposed vacation and closure of a portion of Warren County Secondary Road described as follows. All that part of the county road in the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 27, Township 76, Range 22, west of the PM, Warren County, Iowa, lying south of the newly acquired right-of-way as described in the permanent easement documents. And that was the right-of-way that we had to get to make sure that the people who own the house back there have access to their homes. So if you would like for me to read those, I will.
I don't think that's necessary.
But they're there for anybody to ever want to look at if they would like to. And we have no problems with vacating this road. Like I said, it is, you can't tell it's been a road for many, many years. So, and it is approximately, 837 feet in length. The egress private easement is approximately 960 feet, which runs through Craig and Patricia Hill's property. And it looks like basically a little lane that runs back in there. And that is for Verl McGraw to get access to his property back in there, so.
Okay. I believe we'll move to public hearing then. I would move that we have a public hearing on the proposed vacation of the county road as presented and establish a new right-of-way.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Please do roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. We are now in public hearing on the vacating of this county road as described, along with establishment of a new right-of-way. Is there anybody here that would like to come up and speak to this issue? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter. Aye. Snell.
Aye. Now we need a motion or resolution to move forward. What is the board's will? There is a resolution here that's ready for us to sign off on if you'd like to. And you can also waive the second and third readings if you'd like to as well. Somebody want to make that motion? If not, I will move forward and make that motion that we resolve that all or part of the county road in that southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 27, Township 76 North, Range 22 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Warren County, line south of the newly acquired right-of-way as described in the permanent easement documents be vacated and a new right-of-way established, and also move the second and third readings of hearings of this. Is it readings or hearings that we're doing?
Hearing.
Hearings. It would move the to not have the second and third hearings as related to this. That would be my motion.
Second?
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter. Aye. Snell.
Aye. I think we've done it all.
All right.
there anything else you need?
Nope, that is it. Thank you so much.
Okay. And then you'll take care of notifying the property owners impacted here?
Yes, I'll take care of that.
Thank you very much.
I
We-
thought number 6 was
Pardon?
another hearing. I thought number 6 was another hearing.
Item number 5 was pulled from the
Oh, that's
agenda.
right. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there is no, that item was pulled. It's not necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Did I forget to mention that? I thought I mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting.
You might have.
I thought I did, yeah, it's confirmed.
Good.
Okay. We are on to item 7, which is to consider a 28E agreement for contract law enforcement services with the city of Cumming with possible action.
I
I am
think that
assuming that
would
the
be
sheriff
sheriff.
or somebody.
No?
Are we going to move forward with this? Somebody going to speak to this resolution here on item number 7? Sheriff, do you want to?
This would just be the renewal of the contract obligation with the city of Cumming, I believe, for the next 3 years. Setting the
Okay.
rate, the services rendered.
Were there any changes in this agreement?
The changes would have been, they were under a 4-year contract ahead of time or prior. This is a 3-year where it freezes the rate instead of the 9% increase of the previous contract.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a motion or any other questions, excuse me?
No.
No questions?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the 28E agreement for contract law enforcement services with the city of Cumming.
Second?
Roll call?
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. The resolution is approved. We are now on to item number 8, which is to consider authorization for the Warren County Public Health Administrator to execute grant applications on behalf of Warren County with possible action. Joe, Al, would you mind coming forward here, please? Just to kind of help us understand and clarify what we're doing.
So good morning, as you know, I'm at the signature authority for all the grants that come into the Public Health Department. So this is a request for a resolution to be approved to allow me that same authority for grants for the opioid prevention program. And the reason why I'm coming to you is because technically the opioid prevention program is under the Board of Supervisors rather than the Board of Health. So I would need your approval to allow me to do the same on behalf of that program for grant applications.
All right.
Are there any questions from board members? The resolution is in your excuse me.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. The resolution is in your packet. I would suggest we use a motion here to execute that resolution as presented.
I don't.
Somebody want to make that motion?
I don't have
I'll go ahead and make the motion. Be it resolved that the Warren County Board of Supervisors hereby authorizes the Warren County Public Health Administrator, Joel Stolte, Ph.D., MPH, to execute grant applications on behalf of Warren County, Iowa, on the following terms and conditions. Number 1, the Warren County Public Health Administrator may review and execute on behalf of the Warren County Board of Supervisors grant applications pertaining to the opioid settlement funds allocated to Warren County, Iowa.
Second?
I got to keep reading.
Oh,
not
I'm
even-
sorry.
3 more items here.
Holy moly,
We'll
okay.
we'll be wanting that second here shortly, so.
It's the second condition, this agreement shall be reviewed annually and shall continue until revoked by the Warren County Board of Supervisors or until Ms. Stolte is no longer here in her current position as Warren County Public Health Administrator. Consideration number 3, the authority delegated is not subject to subdelegation without written approval of the Board of Supervisors. And number 4, and finally, all grant applications reviewed and executed by the Warren County Public Health Administrator will be brought before the Warren County Board of Supervisors during their next scheduled meeting.
And if you'd like
That
to
is
make-
my motion.
Okay.
Would you like to make a second?
I was trying to find that. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Thank you. We're on to item number 9, and thank you, Joelle, for your willingness to do that. Number 9 is discussion regarding supporting participation in the Main Street Iowa program with possible action. I believe this is on behalf of the City of Indianola. Charlie.
Charlie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate the time this morning just to kind of explain what we are looking at doing here. So I'm passing out a fact sheet on what Main Street Iowa and Main Street America is. This has been an initiative that the city has been looking at for some time. The application window does only come up every 2 years, and we're currently in that window right now. So we are pursuing. In just a quick summary, this is something that we are looking at because it's going to better align some of the resources we have within the city between the chamber, economic development, and just a lot of the downtown groups we have internally to bring in a full-time person to open up some more resources for our downtown from the state of Iowa. So it's a really good program, and as part of this program, they do require that the county in the jurisdiction does provide a resolution of support for the initiative. So really that's what we are here this morning looking for the County Board of Supervisors for, is just your verbal support for the program. There is a funding component to this program as well. If the Board of Supervisors would be so inclined, I'm willing to discuss that further with you if there is a financial commitment. We know budgets are tight. You guys are running into the same issues we all are running into, but as part of this program, the city is required to be involved financially, and we have committed about $50,000, and we're looking just for one-to-one matches from the community to make this program viable. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but again, really what we're looking for here is just your verbal support of the program this morning.
And I believe you presented a resolution for us to basically sign off on here.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that's a standard resolution?
Yep.
That's prepared by the Main Street Iowa program?
Yep, so they'll give us some templates to use. I did add a little bit more in there just to kind of give it its our own local touch to it. But yeah, it's a good template that they do give.
Have the board members had a chance to read the resolution? Or any questions?
No questions.
I think it's great that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Is there a second?
Yep, second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, guys. Best wishes to City of Indianola and all the folks here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to item, I believe it is number 10, which is a maintenance update.
Good morning.
Hi,
The
Jamie.
floor is yours.
It's been a while since I've been up here to kind of provide updates on what the maintenance team has been working on. So as we're winding up this fiscal budget year, we thought now is a good time to go over all the projects that they have been working on. I'll start with the admin building. They are just about wrapped up with the exterior parking as far as curbs and fixing some handicap spaces that we have. Once that's done, then we'll be seal coating the parking lot and redoing the lines. The plan is in the northwest corner where typically the county vehicles will number those spaces so that departments will have numbered spots for their vehicles. So if we need to contact people to move vehicles, then we'll know exactly who we're reaching out to, and they have their assigned spots back there in the corner, and it'll just be those spaces that will be assigned. No other spaces will be assigned. They have fixed the north side, so for quite some time, I've been here for almost 8 years, and ever since I've been here, people have inquired about adding a handicap ramp to the north side of the building, so we did do that. We moved some handicap spaces from the northwest corner up to this north side so that it kind of flows. Now with the congregate mills not happening back there, I think that was the intention. The signs are back there for those spaces, so we've moved those up so that they're closer to the building. We added 2 spaces on the north side, which will essentially, it'll take up 3 spaces, with the space that you have to put in between for them to have space to exit their vehicles. But on that northwest corner where we remove 2, we'll actually be getting 4 back. So we should net 1 space. We've replaced the carpet in this room and the vinyl outside. We have a project where we're going to be replacing the countertops in here. Stephen has been working on polishing up the woodwork, and once we get the countertops in here, the bench will get a nice shine. We will be, one of the projects that we brought to the board for the facilities committee was to replace the windows. There was lots of discussion around that, so we went the route of hiring a company to come in and do some repairs and walk through and touch every window. They worked with Josh and the guys to kind of show them the pieces that typically fail. In addition to that, we're going to be removing all of the exterior caulking on all of the windows. Hopefully, they were supposed to start this week, but with the weather, we pushed it back a week, so hopefully they'll get out here next week. So they'll take all of that out and then replace all of that, and that should hopefully help with wind and sealing up some leaks and things. They're out there currently working on the terrazzo on the second floor, filling in some cracks and making sure that there's no more damage just from the age and the time, and it just needs a facelift. They have been working on painting inside the admin building. I think we are all wrapped up, or do you have one bathroom left?
I'm working on the last restroom, that's right across from the Welcome Center.
And while a lot of people think that big deal, it's paint, I've had lots of comments on how the building looks nice and fresh, and they appreciate the upgrades. So while it's thankless work that the guys are doing, this is my time to brag on them. Screen repairs, they are hitting every screen on this building and making repairs. There are lots of screens that had little holes and damage to them, so all of the screens will be repaired by the end of the summer. Over at the annex, they spent a lot of time over there, painting, patching holes, just doing minimal work in preparation for HHS to move there. They'll be moving over the full week of June, which I believe is June 10th, and then we will no longer be paying rent to the owner of the building out there on Jefferson Way, so that'll be money in our pocket. They are currently over there. We have a contractor over there. There were some issues with floor joists under the side that economic development used to be under or in. And so they're currently over there working on that. Once they get those floor joists repaired and get the flooring replaced, then we'll get carpet put in there so that that's ready to go. I've been working with Evan in IT for the infrastructure for the needs of HHS for computers, phones, all of the things that they'll need to be successful. We've worked with Harvest Academy has done a walkthrough for us. They'll be the ones that move everybody. So they'll take one day to disassemble everything, and hopefully our plans work. We have everything kind of coded so that they know exactly this office goes here. So it'll speed up that process. So they'll do one day of tear down, one day of kind of putting everything together and organizing, and then the last day will be reassembling everything. So we're hoping to get that project done in 3 days so that they can be back up and running in a relatively short amount of time. But in the interim, they do have the ability to work from home or to work off-site, so we won't be displacing them for very long. Liberty Center has presented some challenges. The most recent challenge is people are flushing washcloths and rags down the toilet, and when they do that, I'm hoping that they don't understand the difficulty that causes and the issues that causes for the system, but it does clog the system. These guys are going out there routinely and emptying out baskets of stuff, and it's a huge impact. It's a financial impact. It could potentially cause issues with backing up the system, shutting down the pumps. So we'll be working with Michaela on trying to create something that goes out to them to say, please, 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 don't do that anymore. How many pounds would you say you pulled out the last time?
So 5-gallon bucket full of rags and sleeves.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, you can't just take those things and dump them in the trash. Like, there's a process that you have to use, you know, you have to mix it with a chemical before you can get rid of it, because
Oh my
it's,
gosh.
so
Right.
hopefully people aren't doing it intentionally, and maybe we can get the word out to say, stop flushing your washcloths, please.
My goodness.
It's weed control season. I don't know if you all have ever been out to Liberty Center, but for whatever reason, those weeds like to grow. So we spend a lot of time and a lot of money out there making sure that that stays under control. The Justice Center, we are just today got our final quote to finish up the fire suppression in the IT closets over there, which has been an ask of IT since really the project started, and the suppression system was not put in place, so we're pretty stoked about getting that off the checklist. They are going to be working on installing witness benches in the 4 courtrooms. There were some design issues, so the judges and the court reporters can't see the witnesses easily. So the fix for that is building a platform that can go in there and that can be removed if somebody needs it removed for wheelchair access. So instead of finishing up the project on the building, we just decided that we would take that on ourselves. And it's not a very expensive project, but it's just something that takes time and planning. We are in the process of adding key card readers to doors that were not in the original scope of the Justice Center. That is probably going to span over this fiscal year and next fiscal year, just because financially it's a huge hit. So that's the plan there. One thing I did forget about this building is that we had tabled upgrading the cameras until the remodel took place. I had Cody get with the company that we were going to go with for the cameras, and they are able to go ahead and do the upgrade, and then they'll come back because we're not going to add a bunch of cameras. Cody reached out to Kim, and then there was another suggestion for another camera in the back hallway. So they'll come out and finish those projects up as we finish the project. But instead of putting off upgrading our cameras for another year or two, the time's now. So we're going to get that done, and it'll be done by June 20th. They'll have everything in and updated. We are adding 3 new cameras. And then just replacing and upgrading cameras that are already in the building. That's all I'll say about that. Miscellaneous, next work session, I have given Michaela an agenda request to get it, discussion going about lawn and snow contracts and cleaning contracts. eMate, we implemented eMate so that we could bring you guys numbers and stats, and so that the guys could keep track of work orders. We have from January 1st to April 30th, have approximately $19,000 tied directly to corrective maintenance work orders. So that means I notice something's broken and I put in an eMate ticket. So those corrective action work orders, we spent about $19,000 in the first quarter. There's 160 corrective work orders, 26 preventative maintenance work orders, and they've spent over 1,000 hours of their time on work orders for the first quarter. So the system is working. Sometimes people will email me and say, I don't know that this really needs, if you see it, put in a work order. We're gonna get it fixed. It's gonna get on a list. It may not be today or tomorrow, but they're knocking it out of the park. They're out there running around. Sometimes fellow coworkers like to critique their work, but they keep their heads down and do what they need to do to get the job done. And I appreciate all that they do, and I do, believe that while they collect a paycheck, their jobs are thankless, and they're always willing to, run and make things better, and they're always looking for ways to make sure that we're doing things efficiently and effectively.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the update. We're on to item 11, which is to receive and file reports. We've received a report from the recorder and also Veterans Affairs. Are there any questions about these reports or thoughts before we go ahead and receive and file them?
I know Jordan's here if she wants to.
Folks want to come up and talk?
Morning, Board.
Morning.
Good morning.
The numbers for April are very similar to the numbers for March. We had a few less deeds, but we're seeing mortgages uptick and also releases of mortgage uptick. So like Luke was discussing, we're seeing that people are done waiting out these high interest rates, and they're really starting to try to move forward now with what they've got. So other than my report, unless you guys have any questions over the report itself.
No, thank you.
ArcaSearch has started our scanning project, well, digitizing project, because they don't scan, they physically take a photo of our books. So that started last week, and they made a really good progress on that project. So if you guys have a minute to go sneak down there to the auditorium, it's a pretty cool process that they go through to do that. Internally, we're scanning all of our DNR paperwork, so that's all digitized, and all of that information is safe in case of a disaster. And we're also digitizing currently as well our index cards too. So girls are busy, busy.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Very good news. Thank you. Veterans Affairs. I saw your name was on the
Yep.
there. Anything you want to share about the report?
No.
Okay. Can I have a motion to receive and file these reports as presented for both the Recorder's Office and the Veterans Affairs Commission?
I'll second that motion. Oh, did you?
Do you want to make
I
the
thought
motion?
you made it. Okay, yeah, I'll make the motion.
Okay, we got a motion.
Second.
We got a roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Now we're to the fun time where we get to share what we've been working on as supervisors. So who would like to go first?
I'm going to pass on my report tonight.
Okay, then I'll do one. Okay, so I attended the Legislative City Supervisor and Superintendent Coffee in Carlisle at their City Hall. Attended a work session and 2 special meetings here for the Board of Supervisors and the Board of Supervisors budget hearing. We had a meeting with the sheriff and the first deputy and the lieutenant over our jail. I had asked to meet with them to introduce a program through Lifeline Global that uses no tax dollars to implement. Working with our local issues and restrictions, the sheriff will be accommodating to ensure implementation. I thank him for this cooperation. Back in 2021, if you remember, we as a board wanted some type of program that addressed keeping our folks from returning back to the jail. We saw it as a very costly process. We were looking at mental health and different issues. This is more of a faith-based, and it utilizes volunteers because of some issues in our jail and the way that we don't have contact. We'll be doing some things differently, but that's the sheriff's issue, and he's dealing with that very well. So I was introduced to this program about 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to get it in front of him as soon as possible. So, and that's my report.
Okay. Well, it's a very busy time. Since my last report, I've had several other meetings. We've had a meeting of the Board of the Aging Resources, Central Iowa, also Impact Board. I believe I'd shared some things about Impact before regarding the changes that they're going through. They're actually downsizing from their massive increase that they had to handle all of the federal funds that came as a result of the COVID. So they are working very hard right now to deconstruct their staffing organization and yet maintain services to all of their communities. One thing that was very interesting in looking at the impact numbers, the numbers continue to be very similar to what we've seen before as far as number of households. But I raised a question with our population being what it is and looking at the other counties that are served by impact, our numbers are actually less than Marion County. And so the question I was raising was, why? You know, are we just in a better state here in Warren County? Do we not have as much need? What's going on? And at this moment, that's a question that Impact is asking also, because proportionately, you would think that from a population standpoint, our numbers should be greater. I'm just going to use Boone and Marion County as an example, because those counties are both significantly smaller population-wise, but yet our numbers are almost identical or slightly lower than those other counties. So the question of outreach really does come about as we're talking through that. The MPO, which is Metropolitan Planning Organization, and CERTPA have both had meetings, but MPO in particular has revised and presented their plan and support for the upcoming trip to DC that I will be participating in. We actually leave tomorrow. There will be approximately 200 people from central Iowa. From Warren County specifically, I believe there are 15 of us that are going. The delegation includes representatives from Norwalk, Indianola, the county, myself, obviously, and others. And so it's quite a deal. We have quite an agenda that we're working on, and several of the items, in particular, City Manager Luke Nelson actually talked about, because several of those require federal approvals, and as far as like the wastewater and all that sort of stuff for that whole big sewer project, we want to make sure that we have smooth sailing to get those projects completed for here in Warren County. The other thing that we're working on, continue to work on, is the designation of I-435, which has 4 interchanges in Warren County. That's Highway 5, Highway 65 route around the Des Moines metro area. So that is very much a part of the agenda that we're carrying out there to DC, among some other things. I believe with that probably I had some additional meetings with admin staff here, and we'll be having a couple more this afternoon, in fact, on some issues. So as we conclude our audit, we'll be going through those discussions here later today. I have nothing else. Anything else on the board? Is there anybody from the public that would like to come up and speak to the board? You have that time to do that. You're limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody present that would like to do that? Seeing none, our next meeting will be on May 21st at 5 p.m. in this room. I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snell.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.